Hi guys, my name is Rage. This is the first video on my channel. I really do hope to be able to post more videos on mental health, lifestyle, and relationships regarding mental health, or maybe more. The first video that I want to talk about today is borderline personality disorder, and it is something that a lot of people don't know about. It's often confused with bipolar disorder. It's also a disorder that has a negative connotation to it. There's a stigma that comes along with the disorder. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a professional at all. This is just my personal experience with my mental illnesses. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder in the beginning of December, but I've been experiencing symptoms since I was a kid. There were several other diagnoses that led up to my BPD diagnosis, but I'll talk about my BPD diagnosis. In Psychology Today, borderline personality disorder affects approximately 2% of adults, and it can manifest in mood instability, difficulty with interpersonal relationships, and high rates of self-injury and suicidal behavior, such as cutting, and in severe cases, significant rates of suicide attempts and completed suicide. BPD is more common in females than in males, with 75% of cases diagnosed among women. So the symptoms of BPD are having unstable or dysfunctional self-image or a distorted sense of self, feelings of isolation, boredom, and emptiness, difficulty feeling empathy for others, a history of unstable relationships that can change drastically from intense love and intense hate, the persistent fear of abandonment and rejection, intense and highly changeable moods that can last several days or only for a few hours, strong feelings of anxiety, worry, and depression, impulsive, risky, self-destructive, and dangerous behaviors, including hostility, unstable career plans, goals, and aspirations. Obviously, everyone experiences BPD differently. I don't have all of these symptoms. I do experience a lot of these symptoms kind of throughout my daily routine or my daily functioning. I do struggle with self-harm. I do struggle with suicidal behavior. The person with BPD doesn't really experience all of these symptoms at once. It kind of comes and goes in waves. As a kid, for example, I remember looking back and thinking, man, like I wanted to be a lot of things. And you know, as a kid, like that's normal. Like you want to be a teacher, or you aspire to be an astronaut, or just, you know, something like that. But then once I decided on that temporary career when I was little, I would obsess over it. I would have this image in my head that my entire life would wrap around whatever it was I wanted to be. Like if I wanted to be a musician, I remember I would like sit outside of my house playing guitar poorly and like telling my parents that I was going to be like a rock star or something like that. But then the next day I would completely drop that and just like hate it. And the next day, if I wanted to be a teacher, I'd all of a sudden like all my stuffed animals were my students, and I just remember obsessing over like every little thing. And that was kind of like a small symptom that I noticed when I first started kind of looking over and reflecting over my life with BPD. I'm becoming more aware of my mood swings. I'm also more aware of my relationships and everything that I've gone through and why I reacted the way I did. So a typical day for me, waking up in the morning and I can feel like I'm on top of the world, you know? Like I have days where it's like I'm really motivated, and if like, you know, a lot of people who know me personally know that I'm pretty extroverted and I'm very like motivated. I love talking, I love being around people. So I can wake up in the morning and being like, you know what, today I'm gonna conquer the world, like, you know, and like that's usually my manic episodes. Yeah, it's like being in a good mood, but then an hour later I could be extremely depressed and extremely suicidal and just like, you know, trying to fight the urges of self-harm and stuff like that. It's really difficult because when I am in a certain mood or when I'm in a certain mindset, it feels like my other mindsets or my other moods are completely different people, and that's where it starts messing with my relationships or my daily life or like just my goals or my career, my academic performances and stuff like that, because it's really difficult for me to be consistent with my mood. It is normal for your mood to change, but then once it starts affecting your daily life or like your functioning or your relationships is when it starts to become kind of a problem. It's really difficult for me to have consistent relationships because my mood does change so much. Especially before this diagnosis, I was not really aware of how often my mood would change or how often my perception of people would change. There's also an idea of borderline personality disorder that people see things in black and white. So this being that when you see someone, you know, they're either a good person or a bad person. I don't necessarily deal with this like with the general public. Like my symptoms are more so like if I feel that there's something wrong with one, like a friend or something, like in my mind I'll be like, okay, like they're not good for me, like I'm gonna cut them off, like I'm never gonna talk to them again. Then the next day I'll be like, oh, you know what, never mind, like I really love them, like they're so great. And then I try to, you know, mend that relationship. And then the next day I could try to cut them off, you know. So it's a lot of toggling back and forth in my mind. Having BPD has definitely made me understand who who I am as a person and why. It's been a journey, and I know that in the future, I hope to find better coping mechanisms or a better way to reach out to people or have people reach out to me. One of the struggles with BPD is that I feel really alone. I have a really great support system. I have a really great family that supports me, and I'm on medication and I have a therapist, but at the same time, it'd be really nice to be able to meet other people who experience the same things I experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be BPD, but I do hope that with this channel I can move forward and create a community that can connect and relate to each other and help each other. So thanks for watching.
If you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you? If you love me, won't you say something?